Actually, before saying a few words about my experiences with Baba, I would say that he used to say, when he was talking about Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, he used to say, Mahajano yen gata sapantha, yani, which means that the great men always show the path, which also means that a common man should follow the path shown by the great men. So, of course, there could be many approaches, many perspectives on what greatness means. But in my view, as Baba has said, Acharanat Dharma, person is known by his conduct. So in my view, one of the greatest signs of a great man is that he will always practice what he preaches. So that was the most beautiful thing that I saw about Baba whenever I interacted with him directly or indirectly. As we know, he used to quote, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's famous teachings. There is a shloka which was quite frequently quoted by Baba, Trinadapi Sunichen Tarurev Sahishnuta. Which means that be modest and stay downtrodden like a blade of grass and have patience like a tree. And then it says that you should pay respect to the common man and remember God. So this was one of the famous teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, another great devotee and thinker who started the Krishna movement in India after a long gap. So let me just elaborate on this. Trinadapi Sunichen, be modest like a blade of grass. We have seen throughout our interactions with Baba and in all his programs that he never gave the opportunity of what he used to say, Prati Namaskar to anybody, which means that he always entered the place, the room, the hall, the stage, days for any DMC with folded hands. So this was his standard posture. He used to enter like this, and till he got seated, he used to stay like this. And again, at the time of departure, his hands were folded in this Namaskar Mudra. So this is the first lesson that I learned from him, that a person must be modest. And especially when I saw Baba and his modesty, I was really impressed and I was really inspired to emulate his conduct. Actually, I have been trying to emulate his conduct. So I remember quite good things. He always appreciated the love and devotion that was there in the heart of his beloved disciples and his boys and girls. He used to call me little boy. So I loved that term, and I still love that term, little boy. And even today, when I, in my silent interactions with Baba, I always call myself little boy, as he called me. So in 1978, when I was studying at Delhi University, he used to come to Delhi because during that period, he's toured to so many places to place, and Didi, as Didi was rightly telling, he went to many places in the country and outside the country also. So once he came to the airport, I also, at that time, entry and access to airport was almost free. Free in the sense that there were no security hassles. So we used to enter and visit the area of our choice. So Baba came and Ramanand Abdul Dada was with him and a few other guys also. So for baggage clearance, he was waiting and he was requested to take one of the, chairs at a small, opening lounge sort of thing at the airport, Delhi airport. So we spread out a small bed sheet and about I think more than a dozen Margis were there, Didis and Dadas were also there. So I got a place to sit just in front of him. He was seated in the chair, and I was seated in the second and or third row. So I was just silent. He was saying a few words, and he was practically waiting for his luggage to arrive from the belt. So when he was getting up, there were so many garlands in his, which were offered by the Margis in Delhi. So while getting up, he wanted to, he took out the garlands and he was looking for someone to, to collect the garments, and he was also desiring perhaps that to give it to somebody, to some Margi. I was, 6-7 people were standing in front of me, and I was almost in the third row. So I thought that I will never get those garlands which Baba is giving back. So I just kept quiet, but I was hoping and wishing that I should get this bunch of garlands. I mean, garlands of fresh flowers. So I was myself surprised. He stood up, took out all the garlands himself, kept it in his hand like this, and then he said like this, that I want to go ahead, please give me way. This is a normal sign in many countries, please give me way. So naturally the Margis standing, who were earlier sitting and now standing since Baba was leaving the airport, so they gave way to Baba. So I was just silent, and I was just waiting and watching things. So he passed 2 rows, came to me, and handed over all the garlands, more than a dozen fresh garlands, to me. So that was, I was really, shocked in the sense that I was just a boy of 23, 24, studying at Delhi University, and there were many senior Margis sitting in my front, and they were all elderly people. Many of them were elderly people. So I was, overwhelmed with his, love and affection, because I thought that probably the desire in me was a burning desire, and he might have felt that this person, I don't claim that, but he might have felt that this person deserves the garlands, probably more than others. So that proved to me the point that, he really knew what is there in the hearts of his devotees, his sons and daughters. So I could never forget that, and I preserved that garlands for months, and they, ultimately the flowers withered away, and it all became, all dried up leaves and petals of flowers. So that was one thing I could never forget. And once while I was again studying at Delhi, so I was picked up by Ramanand Avdut Dada for a visit to the Lodi Gardens. As some of you might be knowing, that Lodi Garden is a very big garden at Delhi, New Delhi, and it's full of greenery and trees, and it is a good place to walk around. So one more Dada from Meerut, I think he was the Bhukti Pradhan of Meerut. He was, 3 of us were there, Baba, myself, and one Dada from Meerut, Bhukti Pradhan. I'm not able to recollect his name, because I think 44 around 44 years ago it happened. So we went on moving with him. One interesting thing was that before proceeding, Raman Dada had told us that his vision is very poor because of his long stay at Bakipur jail, and so you are there. He told me specifically, gave me the task that Mr. Haranand, it is your responsibility and duty to ensure that there are no impediments and obstructions in the path, and it doesn't face any problems. So I was a bit conscious. I was trying to be a bit conscious. Of course, I was not, because the incident proved that point. What happened after walking around, he went on explaining the botanical names and history of plants and trees. There are thousands of trees in Lodi garden. So I got engrossed. Anybody could have got engrossed the way he used to narrate things, and he used to, give so many valuable pieces of information while he used to interact. So at one point of time, while we were walking on a pavement, it was small 3 feet wide pavement. It must still be there in Lodi garden, I suppose. So he suddenly stopped. Then I was surprised what has made him stop here, because the path was very clear ahead. He stopped and then he pointed downwards like this, with his left hand, he pointed out like this. Look below. Then suddenly I found that, yes, he must, what does it mean? What does he mean? Then I, looked on the ground. So there was a thick pipe, pipe for irrigating the plants and trees, thick pipe crossing the pavement. So then, and then he smiled, and then he crossed that pipe and we moved ahead. So, that was a great lesson for me. He basically wanted, I think, to give me two messages. First is that, look, you have failed in your duty. You were assigned the duty of showing me the path, but it has happened the other way around. I have stopped and told you that there is a pipe going across the pavement, and I may fall. I may stumble and fall. So that was very interesting, and that is how we used to, teach lessons to sons and daughters, to boys and girls. Then after a long walk, what happened? At the end, we came at the end of the fencing. So Lodi Garden has a number of gates. So since I was visiting Lodi Garden for the first time, though I was from Delhi, but I was staying far away in the university campus, university hostel. So I was not really aware of the geography of the garden, which gate is located in which direction. And we had the car at some particular gate, which obviously I was not able to locate. So he came at the end point and said, look, he said, tell me the Sanskrit word for matchstick. Then we started, looking for words to both of us. Then after about half a minute, he said, both of you know. Then we got puzzled, because we know and we are not able to locate the word for matchstick. Then interestingly, he smiled and he said, Gyanan Jana Shalakaya. Then it flashed to my mind that Shalaka could probably the word for matchstick. So I said, Baba, it is Shalaka. He said, yes. So I told you, both of you know it, but you are not able to recollect the word, you are not able to connect. So that was another incident, interesting part. Then he said, now we have to go back because we are at the end of the fencing. And then he said, since I was the local person, he looked at me and asked me how to go back. Because when we turned back, we found there were 3-4 ways, paths going in different directions. So I was totally puzzled. For a second, I stopped. And then I thought, if I take the wrong way, then I'll land up at some other gate where the car is not there. And then it will be a huge embarrassment for me as well as Baba. And I'll get, I'll have to hear a few words from Ramanand Dada. Look, you were from Delhi and you failed to guide Baba and took him to the wrong gate. And again, he would have to wait for car to come. At that time, there was no cell phone. So that was another big problem. So I understood, I understood that I'm in trouble. So I just folded my hands and didn't say anything. What I meant, look, I don't know, so I have surrendered. Now you show us the path. And immediately smiled at me. He must have understood my predicament, my condition, of utter surrender and utter failure of duty. So he turned back and, like a father talking to his son, he said, "Follow me." Oh, I was highly relieved. I thought, look, now when the Guru is leading the path, I have nothing to worry, and he'll definitely take me to the right gate where the car is parked. And then we moved ahead. Baba, it was very interesting that Baba was leading and we were following, which actually we wanted to do, and we are still doing it. So that was one part of the visit. And finally, when we were crossing, when we were going back to, South X, where Baba had stayed. So there was a tamarind tree. So he asked me, do you know the meaning of this tree? I said, Baba, I know the meaning, but I don't know the etymology of the word tamarind. It's an English word. I just know that tamarind means imli in Hindi, and it is called imli in North India. Then I was sitting in the, along with the driver on the left side, and Baba was sitting at the rear, in the rear seat on the right side. So I had just turned my neck rightwards, and I was talking to him, and he was talking to me. So, then he started, he told about 8, 9, 10 languages, that it is called, in Tamil, it is this word, in Malayalam, Telugu, Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati. He had used words from, I think, 9, 10 languages. And then suddenly I thought, I was thinking that I know that you know everything, then what do you want to convey? If you want to convey that you know everything, I don't need it because I know it. Then suddenly when this thought came in my mind, he suddenly stopped, and he asked the person sitting next to him, he was, I think, Bhakti Pradhan of Meerut. He said, do you know what what Harananda is thinking right now? So then I smiled because I know that, he's going to talk about what I was thinking right now. And then he said, see the modesty of a great person. Then he said, Harananda was thinking that I do not know anything. And then he roared into laughter. He kept on laughing for 3-4 minutes. And all of us were laughing because he told he placed the facts in such a humorous and interesting way that it provoked laughter. And he was himself laughing. I have never seen Baba laughing in such a manner after that, or even before that. So that is how great men behave, They are known for, they know everything, but they are so modest. They will not let you feel that, they are great and others are, trivial creatures, others are small creatures. So that was the great thing about his greatness. And I realized that God has rightly been said to be the most merciful person, to shower grace on each and everything of this cosmos. So this was one part. Now, modesty and humility of a great person. Now I'll just I would like to share one more experience. He was, as I call, I have coined a word for God. I call him CEO Cosmos, Chief Executive Officer Cosmos. Since I have a bias towards bureaucracy, I was myself in Indian bureaucracy. So I call him CEO Cosmos. So I regularly use the word for Baba also. I think I'm not offending him. So, so I thought CEO Cosmos, the whole cosmos, as we know, works on a severe discipline, all the galaxies, planets, they are revolving, rotating in the universe. They are not colliding. They have a wonderful harmony and balance of gravitational forces. And, the whole world is moving like that for millions of years, as we know. So the first thing that emerges from this whole concept of the cosmos is that the cosmic father, as I call him, CEO Cosmos, must have great discipline. This I saw during many of my experiences, and when I got some opportunity to sit with Baba. First thing was about his monitoring and reporting. Today also, this reporting takes place and it's going on very smoothly. But I found that during Baba's time, this monitoring that he used to do was the level was too high. And because I saw that in the morning he used to give targets, so many schools must be open. That he used to ask in the afternoon, and in the evening he used to call the Dada who was assigned the task, the head of that unit, and he said, used to ask, has the school been opened? He very well knew that school cannot be opened between dawn and dusk. But that was the level of monitoring he used to do, and discipline he used to enforce in the organization. That so it always reminded me that this is how the cosmos is working on a code of strict discipline, because for millions of years nobody has taken casual leave, nobody has gone on leave. None of the planets, stars, galaxies, they are moving endlessly. And as I quite often say, that we were told to do our kirtan. There is absolutely nothing new about it, because our planet, where we are sitting and discussing so many good things right now, it is also revolving and rotating. So I say that this earth is also doing our kirtan. Yes, so for millions of years. So if we are asked to do, there's nothing wrong about it. Actually, we should be in harmony with the earth and do our kirtan. So it was very nice to hear kirtan during the intervals. That's a very good way of presenting things, creating the proper ambience for things. So that was another thing that I noticed in his personality, that he used to enforce discipline with great rigidity, not harshness, discipline with rigidity. He was tough, but not rough. And whatever he used to say in anger, he also defined anger as art. He said that there is one type of anger which is artificial anger, administrative anger. So that administrative anger has a very limited purpose for an a limited goal, that is purely for enforcing the thing, that is purely for translating some idea into reality, into action. So I'll give another incident in this regard, that at Tiljala, when he was speaking on Shabd Chainika, that is, he was speaking on the etymology of words, the multi-layered meaning of words, the history of words. He explained so many things, and there are volumes and volumes of books on this aspect which he spoke. So once it was a Sunday, and I was posted at a place called Kancharapada near Calcutta. So I had gone there with my wife. So we were sitting there, and the hall was fully packed. And Baba was speaking on Shabd Chainika. I don't exactly remember the word. He was explaining a particular word, and then he was pronouncing that word, with proper accent. So first he explained the meaning of that word. Then he went for the pronunciation part. Somebody in the back rows, I didn't look at the face of that person. Somebody in the one Margi is in the one of the seventh or eighth row. I was sitting in second or third row. Normally, I used to leave the first row for our revered monks. So I used to occupy the second or third row. That was my habit. So, somebody suddenly laughed. I also found it to be weird, because, that was not the occasion. He was discussing a very serious subject, and he was pronouncing the word. And I don't know what provoked that person. He laughed. Suddenly, Baba stopped, and he shouted at the top of his voice. He said, "Throw him out." Everybody was shocked, not at Baba's words, shocked at the way he laughed, because it was totally out of context. There has to be context for laughter. You cannot just keep on laughing every time meaninglessly. So that person was totally shocked. must have got the shock of his life. Then he suddenly moved out before anybody could tell him. He moved out of the hall. And then Baba said, it's a serious thing being discussed. We are discussing grammar. And that was not the occasion for laughter, though his sense of humor was very, very strong. Very, very strong. And we have seen it on a number of times. We used to crack very subtle jokes and then he used to laugh and make others laugh. So that was the disciplined part of Baba as I saw him personally. And I used to watch things very, very closely. And I have been a keen analyzer of, the conduct of especially great people, because we always have to learn something from them. We keep on learning. And learning is a constant process. Till the day we live in this world, we are alive and kicking. We keep on learning. If somebody feels that there is no need for learning now, I would remind him of Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers, who said that the only thing that he knows is that he doesn't know anything. So one has to keep on learning. So I learned these things from his conduct, and I repeatedly used to, think that what he used to say, that acharana dharma, you should be known by your conduct. So that was very important. One more incident I can recollect about him is that, that was narrated by my father. He was a very old Margi. So on a field walk with Baba, I have an elder brother. So on a field walk with Baba, that was sometime in 60s, when Baba was at Jamalpur. So father used to narrate this incident quite often. So I remember it distinctly. So in the field walk, Baba said, look, the span of your elder son is very small, lifespan. So father got worried. He came back and we were, of course, not kids, but we were like teenagers. So he told my mother, I'm worried. And Baba said, your elder son's lifespan is small. It means that he may not survive for long. Then he was quite upset. Any father would be upset, because the person who told him was none else but Baba. So he also knew that it has a serious, deep meaning. So he went to Jamalpur once again, and he could not, muster courage to ask Baba. But he asked a very senior Margi of Jamalpur. He said, look, in field walk, Baba has told that my elder son may not survive for long. So I am quite worried, because now all my children are young and it will be a shock for the entire family. So senior Margis had their own way of perceiving things, understanding what Baba used to say. And then he told my father, look, when Baba has mentioned this in the field walk at Jamalpur, it means that your son's life has caught the kind attention of the Almighty. So once the Almighty has taken a note of this fact, he is sure to survive. And when Baba said this, it means that he has extended his life. And my father got convinced. He came back and told my mother, and we were also hearing that, look, this appears to be the appropriate explanation for this. And now I feel that Baba has extended the life of my son, and he will definitely have a normal span of life. And today I tell you, he is 1948 born. He is alive and kicking at Ranchi, and is fit and fine. So if he has crossed 70, it's not an early death. I mean, the lifespan is not poor. And he may go for Baba knows how long he may survive, but he will definitely survive for another 10, 20 years. So, Baba had unique ways of telling things. He may not have told things directly, but indirectly he used to suggest, and it is for the intelligence and love and devotion of the devotee to understand things in proper perspective. So recently, when I was asked to deliver a series of this talks on Prabhat Sangeet, I used to work a lot, and for the last 2 years, I have been working on Prabhat Sangeet a lot. So, many times, I used to get cues from Baba. This is quite recent. I mean, 5-6 months old story. So, and before sleeping, I used to say, Baba, tell him that, look, this chapter appears to be complete. And then at 2 o'clock in the midnight, uh, mm, uh, honestly, Baba used to say, have you analyzed this aspect of Prabhat Sangeet? And then I used to, lose my sleep. And then I used to come to the study room where I'm sitting right now at the table, study table. And then I used to take out the pen, and then I used to ask, you have told that this point should be included, but how do I pick up the Prabhat Sangeet for this? Because I have to prove that this point is mentioned in this Prabhat Sangeet. And then I used to open the book. I have the Bengali version of Prabhat Sangeet. Fortunately, I can read Bengali. So I have those 10 volumes. One volume contains 500 songs. So I used to pick up the volume, and then suddenly a song, I used to open a page, randomly. And I found in that, on that page, that particular song is coming. Then again, 2 3 songs. Then, I used to, uh, uh, place the bookmark on those songs. And then I used to write, so from 3 o'clock in the morning, I used to write up to 7 o'clock. And then in the morning, when I used to tell my wife, Didi, okay, look, my whole thing is ready. She used to get surprised. This happened quite a number of times. At 2:30 in the midnight, Baba used to say, no, no, you think you have completed this part? No, no, this part you have left out. So please cover this. So what I want to say, Dada, cutting it short, cutting the long story short, that especially if somebody is working for Baba's mission, for Baba's work, he personally motivates and he watches personally, very closely. So we are under his constant surveillance. He's showering his love and devotion to on everybody, and we should live for his mission, because he has a special place for all those people who are working for his mission, and the entire team whom I can see on the screen right now. So they are all great people, and we want to emulate and follow the great men like Baba. And I have always surrendered myself before at his holy feet. Thank you very much. Namaskar.